Sir, I do appreciate all the concern from my colleagues around this table as to my health. But, sir, my own health is of little consequence considering the international crisis that is developing. Yes, sir, and I believe it is my duty, no matter what the cost, to be present at this meeting and to offer my own insights, meager as they are, into possible solutions to help us in this time of extreme peril.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I appreciate your sacrifice for our country and your expertise on this foreign affairs matter. Looking forward to your briefing on this international situation.
Sir, the Soviets have obtained knowledge of our weaponization of electromagnetic, thermonuclear, antimatter implosion technology. Sir, this speaks to infiltration at the highest levels of government of the forces of evil. Yes, sir, there are those within our government with top secret clearance who have shared secrets with the Soviets, and indeed secrets of the most sensitive nature. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There were very few men who knew about this project, and I'm determined to uncover the conspiracy of evil.
Mr. Secretary, breve et pure. If you could be brief, please. I'm sure we all understand the implications here. The FBI is on the alert for a possible mole. Please continue with your briefing.
Yes, sir. Great-granddaddy Montgomery always said the wisest man in the room was the one with the fewest words. It is a saying that I do not take too literally.
Mr. Secretary, please get to the point.
Yes, sir. The State Department has received an ultimatum from the Soviets. They demand that we share with them the technology that we have so recently harnessed and weaponized, which gives us the decisive advantage over the Soviet Union in the Cold War. Yes, they have demanded that we share with them this technology and that we remove all of our nuclear warheads from Turkey. Yes, sir. And if we do not, we have 2 hours before they will initiate their own nuclear codes and aim them at population centers around the United States. Yes, sir. This is a crisis of the most extreme nature.
And what is your recommendation?
Great-granddaddy Walker always said, the only way to keep a pit bull from biting was to beat the devil out of him. Sir, I do not believe the Soviets will follow through on their threats. However, I do believe that we must have a swift and a decisive response to this crisis. Otherwise, we run the risk of emboldening the enemy. Yes, sir. Make no mistake. The Soviet threat has no qualms about destroying innocent life, including the lives of their own people.
General Bragg, can you give us the military's response?
At 0600 hours, the United States Air Force Strategic Air Command received notification that Soviet missiles in the Ukraine and in Siberia were on standby for deployment. We are prepared to initiate our own protocols for engagement at your request, sir.
Is there any way to prepare the American people once the Soviet missiles have been launched?
Sir, if Soviet missiles are launched, we will have approximately 20 minutes notification before these missiles land at major population centers around the United States. Yes, sir. The only course of action is to prepare for a possible attack. Yes, sir. The only question, as I see it, is whether or not we will arm the super weapon, which is now ready for deployment from underneath Lake George.
The risks are too great, are they not?
Sir, I understand your concerns. I do. And I believe that they come from a sincere, humanitarian, and morally, ethically sound point of view. However, sir, I must say that if we are going to negotiate with the Soviets, then we must negotiate from a position of strength.
Yes, but if we threaten to use the superweapon, we have to be prepared to deploy if they refuse to comply with our demands.
Darn right! Sir, it is my honest opinion that if we stand up to this menace and we arm our nuclear warheads, including the superweapon, then yes, sir, the Soviets will stand down. Yes, sir. They do not want to face annihilation, which is the sure course that will afflict them if they pursue this intimidation any further.
General, go ahead and initiate nuclear codes on all weapons, not including the one at Lake George. Given Soviet actions, we must be prepared to act preemptively in self-defense. Before I approve the use of the weapon at Lake George, I'd like to hear from the scientists about the use of this weapon. What will be the consequences of using it on the Soviet Union? Can you get the scientists down here as soon as possible?
Sir, I think that can be arranged.
It is a great honor, mein President, to speak in your presence. This weapon is unlike any that has ever been developed. It has the capacity to kill millions of people within seconds. We have never been able to test this weapon. To test it would mean the immediate death of hundreds of thousands. There is no place on Earth remote enough to test this weapon. We are not even sure what the consequences would be. However, we have a good idea that it would be equal to the explosion of 500,000 hydrogen bombs.
So what you're saying is that this weapon poses a threat not only to the Soviet Union, if detonated there, but to the entire continent of Asia, including the Middle East and Eastern Europe?
Yes, it would destroy not only the Soviet Union, but the entire Eastern Hemisphere, including those who are allies of the United States. It would mean the end of human existence. The only possibility for survival would be to retreat underground for at least 150 years. Those who were chosen to survive in the caves could not see the light of day ever again. Nor would their children be likely to ever see the sunlight. Yes.
What is he saying?
Human beings would have to adapt to these circumstances or become extinct.
Nazi.
I don't think in good conscience I can deploy such a weapon. In fact, I'm alarmed that its development was allowed in the previous administration.
Sir, the best leverage we have to force the Soviets to stand down is the threat of assured annihilation provided by this superweapon. There can be no doubt, once we arm this weapon, the Soviets must and will remove their ultimatums and step to the negotiating table, and will begin the process by which the United States, the leader of the free world, will end this Cold War. Yes, sir, and will end it under your leadership.
We will arm our full arsenal, but I'm not prepared to use this weapon at Lake George. Not yet, Mr. Secretary.
Sir, I hate to interrupt, but the initial period for decision making has passed. Yes, sir. The Soviet nuclear codes are set to go into armed mode at this hour.
Is there any way to stop the missiles once they've been launched from the Soviet Union?
No. I do not see any option but to accelerate our own response to this crisis and to arm the weapons at Lake George.
Okay, prepare all facilities for initiation.
Yes. If it is the decision of this administration to ready this weapon for deployment, I would request that I may be present at the facility for this event.
Certainly, Dr. Clashwetter.
Sir, I'm pleased to say that the strong and decisive response that you have made to this crisis has indeed resolved it. The Soviets have removed their demands and have stood down. They have canceled their nuclear codes. We have avoided, sir, certain doom. Yes, sir, and we have done it thanks to your good judgment. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we have ordered all missile facilities to stand down.
Excellent. Well done, gentlemen.
Sir, there is something else. The facility at Lake George is not responding to our orders. Furthermore, the missile has been deactivated, but the weapon remains programmed for detonation.
You mean to tell me that it's going to detonate here in the United States?
Yep. We have approximately 1 hour before this weapon is deployed on our own soil.
How did this happen?
Sir, your guess is as good as mine.